the flip side of the criticism is that whether you like it or not, you're also seen as the poster girl for a generation.
Yeah.
You're seen as the role model. You're seen as the person leading a generation. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's funny when I always say this, but when my character said, I'm the voice of a generation, she was on drugs. Like it wasn't like a claim like, I'm here world, get used to me. I thought it, and I'm sort of now accepting like that's the line that's gonna follow me around till my grave, and it's totally fine. But, you know, I think it's like, we're living in this incredibly globalized, tech-savvy world and our generation is made up of, you know, far too many kinds of people with different sets of beliefs for any one person to represent them. But if I'm addressing any generational concerns, I'm happy with that.
You know, a moment ago when you talked about you and Hannah dissecting and, you know, moving farther and farther away from each other in terms of what you're really successful now. Is it harder and harder to relate to a character who's still struggling to figure things out?
You know, it's interesting. I think we're always struggling to figure things out, and we can choose to stay tapped into that. And I think part of being a writer is being able to have empathy for experiences that aren't your own and project yourself into them. And so I don't know, it doesn't scare me. And I also feel like, you know, whether you're feeling weird and awkward at the movie premiere or whether you're feeling weird and awkward at the weird underground club in Brooklyn, you're still having a similar experience. And you know, I never want the show to turn into Entourage. That would be my worst nightmare. I mean, great show, but that's not what we're doing. But it's not ever gonna be like, you know, a story of like, the girls are never gonna like, you know, head to Hollywood, but I am still experiencing emotions that can inform her journey.
Do you ever get nostalgic for your post-college lost girl years?
It's funny, I do, I really do. I think about this sometimes, which is like, sometimes I just miss the lack of responsibility and the kind of openness of what that moment meant. And it doesn't mean that I couldn't, you know, like move to Sweden for 6 months now, but I would want to because I have this life and these people and that I depend on and who depend on me. And I definitely have moments where just like you know, like this is so cheesy to say, but I was like at a like comic book, like a zine fair in LA, and I saw all these couples like just like sitting outside on the street, like eating tacos at 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday, and like my boyfriend was away on tour and he couldn't be there, and I kind of felt like people were looking at me a little bit, and I just kind of felt like, oh, that's not going to get to be my reality, and that's okay because I have this great reality. But I had a moment where I was like, I'd really love to eat tacos with my boyfriend on the stoop right now, and that's just, it's not going to happen right now.
Well, let me pick up on that. I know I can't keep you here forever, but I just got a couple more questions. Let me pick up on that. And there was a very complimentary New York Times Magazine piece about you, but I want to read something from it.
Oh, yeah.
In trying to make the connection that you are to the millennials what J.D. Salinger
That was a very heady
was to the post-World War II generation. A very complimentary one. But here's what the New York Times Magazine said, and I quote, a singular voice who spoke as an outsider and in doing so became the ultimate insider.
That was like, that took me a minute to unpack it, and it was obviously lovely. Megan Daum, who wrote that, is such a good writer.
Do you feel like you fit in now? Do you feel like the ultimate insider?
No. I mean, I remember going to a Christmas party with Judd Apatow when I was first working and seeing a lot of celebrities and going, I'm never gonna feel like this is like the right place for me to be until I die. And if I ever do feel like this is my like appropriate environment, then someone should be worried about me. Like if I feel like, oh, I feel most at home in like a room of like, you know, people in professional hair and makeup, then that would be a problem. I feel most at home with my family and in my house and with my work, and I feel like I'm a little bit undercover in those other situations.